If I was to describe the situation that I think exists with healthcare and healthcare coverage, I think it's in a state of serious decline, and it puts a lot of people at risk. It puts people at risk to not be able to afford it, and to really have their budgets squeezed when there's so many other things squeezing the budget.
Raising kids without health care was pretty devastating. There were times when, one time my 2-year-old son went up and he touched the burner on a stove, and he had burned his hand really, really bad, and I didn't have the money to go to the emergency room, and I didn't have health insurance, so I had to wrap his hand and rock him through the night as he cried in pain.
I've had health issues over the last 5 to 7 years. When I've been insured, I've been uninsured. I've had lots of varied experiences, and all of them have a sense of I'm at risk, I'm at financial jeopardy.
Having a child with Down syndrome is very difficult to have a regular job, because there are times when you have to leave. There were times when it was like, what are we going to do? Are we going to get some food, or are we going to get his medicine? Because it would come at a time he would need his medicine when we didn't necessarily have the money right then, We had been through bankruptcy. After that, we went through bankruptcy. Nobody in this country should have to choose between whether they're going to feed their family or whether they're going to give their kids the medicine that they need to survive. That's a choice that nobody should have to make.
I need to get a hysterectomy because I bleed. I'm bleeding constantly. And I get cramps real bad, and I can't walk hardly, and I just get real sick. And therefore, I can't work all the time. Or if I call in sick so many times, they're going to fire me.
The Colorado Progressive Coalition is an organization that is focused on taking action. So as we began to hear more and more stories about the really harsh conditions that so many of us were experiencing because we couldn't get access to health care, we decided to take action. And we have organized health justice programs for the last 5 years that are producing real results in the communities that we serve.
What's excited me about the Colorado Progressive Coalition and its role in healthcare reform is that it has a substantial membership base throughout the state. It has a history of successfully advocating for those who are underrepresented. I see the Colorado Progressive Coalition as being able to network successfully with other advocates for healthcare reform from the public policy area, whether it be the governor and the legislature, on issues, education of a grassroots base, so that they can be articulate in asking for what they need and want.
What I've seen CPC do in terms of playing a role in helping to bring about change is that they hold functions, they go places, they try to educate people, they try to make people aware of the problems. And I think that to the extent that they can have these ongoing dialogues and bring in and offer the different perspective, the fact that they do that, I think, and can continue to do that, is going to be very important. They have a critical role to play, and I'm glad to see them playing it.
CPC plays an indispensable role, and a rather unique one, because we're a truly grassroots organization. People are much more interested in substantial, comprehensive change in the system than the pundits and the politicians would ever have us believe. So it's indispensable to get out into the communities and to really hear people say what their problems are and what they would like to see change.
Colorado Progressive Coalition has an excellent grassroots, and they have wonderful organizers that are very passionate about what they do. And I think just basically working on that grassroots and bringing them forward and being involved with the political leaders, letting them know that we're out there. And they do that. They're very well informed. They let the elected officials know that they're there and that they have, thousands of grassroots people behind.
For example, in the state legislature, we were able, during the hearings on the legislation, to be able to say to a legislator, well, there's so-and-so in your district who has this terrible problem that is not being met. What are you going to do about it?
Even with the amazing work of Colorado Progressive Coalition activists across the state, there's still so much more to do. This is a historic moment in the fight for quality, affordable health care for all people in this state. Without more support, without more people getting involved, we could lose all of the gains that we've made over the last 5 years. Now's the time to get involved, take action with Colorado Progressive Coalition, and let's work together to solve the healthcare crisis.
What happens when you don't have organizations like CPC, the interests of the common good oftentimes get neglected because there's nobody on the ground doing the organization to bring people together for the common good.
If we didn't have groups like CPC working on healthcare reform, there would be no healthcare reform. There would be no one to organize the average person to let them know that they do have a voice.
We need to have organized voices in society for reform, particularly with regard to healthcare. How can we talk about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when the right to life is so jeopardized by one's finances or one's ethnic background or where one lives? We can do better than that in America. And it takes organizations like CPC to recognize that and organize and energize people so that they're effective in advocating for reform.
If there were not groups like CPC, we have seen what happens. Exactly what's happening now is what would happen. Kids that don't have access to doctors. So if we want it to keep going like it is, if we're satisfied with how it is, then we don't need companies like CPC. If we want to change, we've got to start somewhere. And we've got to have a place that cares, that it's their job to bring us all together.
To get involved in Colorado Progressive Coalition's Health Justice Organizing Project, you can call our Denver office at 303-866-0908, or you can call about our statewide health justice organizing projects at 1-866-329-0908. Or you can go online to www.progressivecoalition.org.